It's funny you send the date on the body. The man, the doctor I was going to, up until right now.
Okay.
Some of them, the
Or
roof is in
if you
Indiana.
want me to talk me through it, I'm there.
And I know he does on the back.
Okay, text me.
State that correctly. Here's what the lady, the Dr. Shack, the Nurse Associate Senior Pathology
Testing, testing.
Oh, it does say artistic. It sure is.
Testing,
I can fix it. I'm doing that right.
testing,
Can you hear clearly?
testing, testing. Hi, Aviv.
Can you hear clearly?
No. Is it a go? Low? Is it a go? Okay. No, having a problem with potentially streaming. So we weren't sure whether we were live or on a.
Let me, yeah, okay.
So the stuff in green, I'll be playing on the, stuff in green, I'll be playing.
I know.
You got it? Okay, take it away.
You have me trained. When I see green, I know it's something you're gonna do, which is cool with me.
Cool. Shabbat Shalom. Testing. Feels a little low. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. All right, one more time. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. That feels so much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you for wishing me Shabbat Shalom. So I am glad that we are together, and I want to thank in advance Aviv for being with us to lead us in music, and to Lori for streaming our service tonight on YouTube. Remember that every service is always available at any time because it lives somewhere out there in the world of the internet, so it's always available. We're going to start this evening on page 24 with Hine Matov. And no, we're not starting on 24. We're starting on page 10 with Hine Matov. And a couple of tunes tonight are going to be by different, we're going to listen to them as opposed to have Aviv do them, and Aviv is okay with that, which I'm grateful for. So we're going to start with Hine Matov. Well, I'm grateful that he's in agreement. That's what I'm saying. Hine Matov, the same words, a different tune by cantor Natalie Young, who was with us last year in the fall. So I hope you enjoy, and this is just a great way of welcoming each other and acknowledging how good it is to be together on Shabbat. 1 second. Wait a minute. Take 2.
Battery 100%. Connected to DSKTOP JVUC728 and VETS 11.
Here we go. Shevet So I'm going to invite everybody to turn to someone next to you or in front of you or behind you, or get up and move if need be, and share what is something tov, something good that happened this week. Think of something that was good that happened and share it with somebody else.
Okay, three of us, including the dog, went to my alma mater and spent a few days in Bloomington. So, to unwind and relax, and I got to see a buddy of mine that I used to live with back in the day. Absolutely. What airport did you go to? Well, yeah, now I don't read as clearly as I'd like, but yeah, I can draw, I can see your features clearly, I can see everybody's features. But if you were to ask me to, if I was just a little bit closer, now I can read that. But back here it gets a little fuzzy.
Well, what's so good is that people are still talking, which means that at least there were some good things, I hope, in everybody's life this week. So now it's time for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Noah, since you're up, do you want to come on up? Come on up, Noah. So here, I'll help you out. Here. Pick one of the buttons. One of the ones on one of these.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The wick is burning, but it's burning into the candle itself. We're going to relight this very long wick. That's better. All right. We're going to continue on page 6. Let's join together responsibly in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship, May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We're going to continue on page 10 with the singing of Ma Yafeh Hayom, How Beautiful Is This Day, and we wish each other a peaceful Sabbath.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat
Shalom. We continue now with the call to worship the Baruch Hu. I ask all who are physically able to rise as the ark is opened.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai. Amivorach Baruch Adonai. Amivorach, Amivorach Leolam Va'ed. Amivorach, Amivorach Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 30, our blessing for creation, Ma'ariv, Aravim, we join together in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokhma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv Aravim. And Ahavat Olam can be found on page 32. We join together with Aviv as he leads us in singing.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu u'kumenu naseach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha u'b'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu
continue on page 34 with Shema Yisrael, the watchword of our faith. I invite all who are physically able to rise for Shema, and then we'll be seated and go directly into the chanting of V'ahavta on 36.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad. Baruch shekevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch shekevod malchuto leolam va'ed.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated, page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, vedibarta bam, veshivtecha v'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha ukumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leloheichem ani Adonai Eloheichem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Eloheichem. Adonai Eloheichem emet.
The middle of page 39, we continue responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. This last paragraph, let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. We know that we are so far from that today. We know how divided our country is. We know how divided Israel is. We know in so many parts of this world there is violence and there is pain and there is not peace. And we know that it's upon us to continue the work, to do what we can to make things better. Granted, none of us are politicians or statesmen. We can't make world peace, but we can improve relationships between one person and another. Sometimes it's the small things like holding a door or smiling, inviting someone for coffee, asking someone who looks down, who sounds down, how are you doing? And really listen and not just say, how are you? Which so often in our society is just another way of saying hi, but to really be there for each other. And then the last two lines, then shall we rejoice. Only can we rejoice as our ancestors did on the shores of the sea when they were freed from Egyptian slavery, because there's work for us to do. And I feel like a broken record saying this from time to time over the years, but I feel it's important to both acknowledge the troubles, to remind each of us of what our role is to make things better, and collectively for us to keep hope alive. Tikva. We must keep hope alive, and we must believe that things can and will get better. Because if we give up hope, we stop working for more peace. And if we stop working for more peace, then there'll be more violence and bloodshed and division, and who knows where it could go. We don't want to think about that, but we need to remember that each of us is important, each of us is a child of God, and each of us has a role to play as we join together in these joyful words on page 40, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh vele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed.
The next prayer that we have, which is part of the Amidah, which is before the Amidah, it's the Hashkivenu prayer. And this is the prayer that we recite when we ask God to watch over us as night falls. So tonight we are going to listen to the words of Dan Nichols and his version of Hashkivenu. The Hebrew can be found on 42, and there's English to this as well. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shalkeinu l'chaim. The shelter of your peace over us, compassion and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamidenu shalkeinu l'chaim. Hoshkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Hamidenu shokenu L'chaim Hoshkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Malkeinu L'chaim I like those birds chirping at the beginning and the end. For those who are following along with the prayer book, and it said Shomrenu, and he said Malkenu. So traditionally the prayer is Malkenu, meaning our king. But as we know, this prayer book is egalitarian. And so instead of making it Malkenu, masculine king, the prayer book is Shomrenu. A shomer is someone who guards over us. So our guardian, as opposed to our king. So I'm just pointing out, for those who are following along and wondering why was that word different, that's why. We're going to continue on page 44 as we join with Aviv in the singing of Vishamru, which reminds us of the 6 days of creation, the seventh day of rest, and that we too rest on Shabbat.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz Veshamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We continue on page 46 as we rise for the Amidah, those who are physically able to do so. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agite ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. 48. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. 50. Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atarav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit u'mechayev, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Page 52. Takadosh, Shemcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahallelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Page 55. We join together on the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. And we continue together in the middle of page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the clear, still voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. We continue on page 60 with our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki
Tahu melech Adon,
Bechol HaShalom.
Ki atahu melech Adon,
Bechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav
Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Shalom Rav
Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Tasim le'olam, Tasim le'olam.
We now think of our loved ones who need our prayers for healing tonight. Our prayers are with Lev Dickerman, Teresa Todd, Jim Todd, Rivka Bat Frimit, Lisa Duval, Leola Wilson, Paul Tackett, LMPD officer Nick Wilt, Eric Gershkovich, who's still being held in a prison in Russia, Mick Safkovich, Al Unger, Janet Elker, Linda McCarty, Beth Haberman, Francine Skoll, Michael Fassler, and Gary Tarbus. Please add the names of your loved ones so we can keep them in our prayers as my eyes meet yours.
Duck Baker.
We ask that God hear our prayers and bring healing to all who we named and to those whose names are in our hearts, and even to those that we don't even know. This is a version of Misha Berach, written by Cantor Leon Scher, sung by Begid Kefet. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul. For strength of flesh, mind, and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. Oh, please heal us now. Refuata nefesh, refuata guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Avotenu, Misha Berach, Avotenu, we pray for healing of the people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every We continue now silently with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our hearts.
Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Oseh shalom bimromav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
This week's Torah portion comes from the book of Deuteronomy, and it's Parshat Ekev. Ekev means if, as in, as a result of. So in the book of Deuteronomy in general, what we have are Moses' last words to the Israelites, because as we know, he will climb Mount Nebo, and his life will end there, and the Israelites will make their way into the promised land, into the land of Israel. And the Torah portion begins, as we read in other parts of the Torah, if you obey these rules, these commandments, then all these good things are going to come to you, and if you disobey me, the result will be curses. And we've talked about that at some times, that it's not always clear to see. Life doesn't always seem so clear-cut, right? Hence the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Not everyone who has service in their life, who has troubles and who struggles, does so because they have sinned or disobeyed God, and not everybody who at least outwardly seems to lead a charmed, easy, amazing life, it doesn't mean that they are doing everything that God has asked of them. Life happens. Sometimes good things happen, and sometimes bad things happen. Life happens, but our Torah tells us that. So I wanted to lead with that. But this week's Torah portion also teaches us about gratitude. So one of the things that we find in this Torah portion is, just as there's blessing and curse, which are opposites, we have other things also that can seem to be this and that at the same time, and we know that that's what Judaism often asks of us, to take two ideas that might seem to be opposite or in conflict with each other and hold them at the same time. So what do I mean? In chapter 8 we read, "Remember the long way that the Lord your God has made you travel in the wilderness these past 40 years, that God might test you by hardships to learn what was in your hearts, whether you would keep God's commandments or not. He subjected you to the hardship of hunger and then gave you manna to eat, which neither you nor your fathers had never known, in order to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but that man may live on anything that the Lord decrees. So in other words, what this is telling us is, you traveled for 40 years in the wilderness, and you were tested, and you experienced hunger, but then God gave you something to eat. And God did this perhaps as a test, but also to teach you that man does not live on bread alone. That's a saying that we know of from American parlance, but not everybody knows. It's a line literally from the Torah. Then it tells us, so on one hand, there's these hardships, like there are the sins, but then there's the blessings, like the clothes upon you did not wear out, right? All these 40 years you wore these clothes, they did not wear out, nor did your feet swell these 40 years. Okay, so that's something good, something positive, right? So we have, again, both sides. Then we have kind of an explanation for some of the hardships. Bear in mind that the Lord your God disciplines you just as a man disciplines his son. Therefore, keep the commandments of the Lord your God, walk in his ways, and revere him. Well, why do parents discipline their kids? It's out of love, right? We want to help them. We want to show them the right way. We want to be their guide. Part of being a parent is being a teacher. So what it's saying, on one hand, God disciplines you, which when you're being disciplined, right? I remember back when I was a kid and I have my daughter sitting in front of me making faces at me. It doesn't feel good when you're disciplined. But there's also a benefit, hopefully, that you've learned something, that you've learned a lesson, that you'll do it differently next time. So again, the discipline, it doesn't feel good, but hopefully there's something positive, a lesson that helps guide you as you go on your way in life. Then we have this very positive. The Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hill, right? Just listening to it, it sounds beautiful, the land of Israel. And then the 7 species, right? A land of wheat and barley. There are vines with the grapes. There are figs. There's pomegranates. There's olives. There's all this really good stuff to eat. The land flowing with milk and honey. And it tells us a land where you may eat without stint, where you will lack nothing. Okay, well, it's beautiful, and we know Israel, those of us who have been there, we know it's beautiful. But you know what? Sometimes people still lack. So there's, again, the beauty of Israel. But not even in Israel is everybody living a charmed life, and all the more so right now, but we can apply it to ourselves as well. Then there's this interesting line, and those of us who know Birkat HaMazon, the blessing after meals, Ve'achalta v'savata uveirachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach. Right? We say a blessing after we eat. This line says, when you have eaten your fill, right, you will eat and you will be full. Then you give thanks to the Lord your God for the good land which God has given you. When we're struggling, whether it's because we don't have enough food, but God willing, that's not applicable for most of us here. But even if it's often the times when we're struggling in some manner, shape, or form that we are grateful when something good comes our way. But this is telling us, but when we have a lot, when life feels plentiful, when we feel a lot of blessings and a lot of goodness in our life, sometimes we take it for granted. Maybe not intentionally, but we don't stop and thank God or express our gratitude the way we do when things are hard, right? They talk about there are no atheists in a foxhole, right? It's the time of struggle and trouble often, and even life is threatened, that people might reach out, and then when something good happens, it's like, oh, thank God. But this is saying no. When you have had your full, when life is going good, that's the time to be thankful. That's the time to say a blessing, to offer your gratitude. Hakarat HaTov, that's the midah, that's the, it's gratitude. Hakarat HaTov in Hebrew. So this Torah portion, where we have a line, as I said, that from Birkat HaMazon comes right from this week's Torah portion, that it reminds us not to take the good things for granted. And those are the times especially to be mindful of the blessings that are ours. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, no matter what kind of day it is, good or bad, plentiful or feeling like it's lacking, if I take the time before I go to bed to make a gratitude list, the things I'm thankful and grateful for, I wake up more peaceful the next day. And when I don't take the time to do that, I still wake up, thank God, but it's a little different. So I'm just sharing from my own experience, making a gratitude list at night, even if it's been a really hard day, it always helps. Achalta v'savata, you shall eat and you shall be filled. May all of us eat literally and figuratively, and may we all be fulfilled and satisfied figuratively and literally. Shabbat Shalom. Couple announcements. We'll be here tomorrow at 10:30 for services. This Sunday, it's the Temple Shalom Day at the J. We're meeting at 11:30. We're having a tour of the JCC, and we're having lunch from Panera. So I know some have signed up. If you didn't sign up, come anyway. You can have my sandwich. On August 13th, next week, is the Men's Club Breakfast. And Carrie Kaplan, who's right here, is going to be making a presentation called Understanding Alcoholism. Should be really interesting. And please RSVP to John Saletto or Mark Epstein by next Friday. Watts is having their opening meeting, which is a brunch on August 20th at Jewish Family and Career Services. And you can RSVP to Kathy Carr or Joan Epstein, and there are flyers in the lobby. We are having a special congregational meeting on Sunday, August 27th at 4 p.m. I hope everybody received in the mail a copy of some proposed bylaw changes. There are other changes that have been recommended, and a bylaws committee will be formed to deal with those. If you want to be on the bylaws committee, let Sheila know. But in the meantime, there are some immediate issues that will be addressed. So please be here August 27th at 4. And then immediately after that, we're having dinner, and there's going to be a movie called Forgiveness, which will help prepare us for the High Holy Days. And I will be saying a few words about preparing for the High Holy Days and the idea of forgiveness and teshuvah. So hopefully the meeting won't last too long, and then we'll move into dinner and a movie. So there are other things going on here at Temple Shalom. Hopefully you are receiving the email blast. And with that, I wish everybody Shabbat Shalom, and we're going to continue in the middle of page 282 as we rise for Aleinu Lishabeach. Lishabeach Ladon HaKol, Latei Kedula Lioteh Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kigoyei Haratzot, V'lo Samanu K'mishpachot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkei page 284. Shevunot Shamayim v'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo, v'gavei meromim, u'Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu efezulato, kagatu betorato, yadata hayom behashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, bashamayim ima'al, ve'al ha'aretz mitachat einod. 287. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. We continue in the middle of page 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is read aloud. This evening, we remember Paul Brown, Elsie Eichhorn, Ben Glazer, Bernard Goldwyn, James Kuhn, Henrietta Venetianer. We're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Tom Sobel, and we're in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning for Gerald Gould. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together as a congregation, reciting the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach leolam ulamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha berichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimaru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimaru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimaru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as we say together. Please be seated. Thanks again to Lori and to Aviv. We'll close tonight with an oldie but a goodie, Bim Bam.
Bim
Bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat,
Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom.
Shabbat, Shabbat,
Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom.
Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Turn to someone near you and wish them Shabbat Shalom.